Congresswoman Jackie Speier, she's on the House Intelligence Committee. Thank you so much for being with us. Look, let's start with Jeff Sessions. You know, CNN is reporting that he did not disclose meetings with Russian officials on a security clearance form. But Jeff Sessions, his office says the FBI told him he didn't have to. How do you see it?
Well, I guess it really depends on whether he was in his official capacity as a senator or whether he was as a campaign associate. I think there's a difference there, and we don't know that and won't know that for some time.
But if he was as a senator, I mean, you're never not a senator, right? But if he did discuss anything in his role as a senator, would it be okay then not to list it on the security clearance form?
I would believe so.
All right.
All right. So, and by the way, that's what his team is saying, that they were told, look, you don't have to do this as a senator. You don't have to disclose these meetings you have with ambassadors, et cetera. Moving on to some words you use.
Well, can I just add one other? Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
If he was in his role as a campaign associate meeting with Ambassador Kislyak on a Trump campaign, that would be a different situation.
And that's a gray area because he was a sitting senator as he was doing that. Congresswoman, let me get your take or just more of an explanation from you on some words you used, because you've said there is a, quote, tarantula web of links between the Trump camp and the Russians. Now, former CIA Chief John Brennan, when he testified earlier this week, did say he was concerned, very concerned when he was in office, concerned enough to support an investigation moving forward. However, he did not definitively say, I saw collusion. Have you, in your position on the House Intel Committee, seen evidence of collusion?
We are still investigating all of that. What we do know is that the web of connections between Trump operatives and the Russians was very full. There were many people involved in that. We also know that the Trump organization did have many financial dealings with Russians. So we're really at the beginning of this investigation, and we won't be able to make a determination.
Can you elaborate on those? Because the president has said repeatedly that he does no business with Russia, has no financial ties to Russia. What are you talking about specifically?
Well, we do know that there was a financing, and that's open source information, with a number of Russian oligarchs, that there were over 60 Russian oligarchs that purchased condominiums in Trump Towers in Florida. So there's much to investigate here, and regardless of what the president says in the present, that does not speak to the relationships over time. One of the points that it's important to make, and it was pointed out in the dossier that became public, that the Russians do spend a lot of time trying to solicit individuals and will attempt to ingratiate themselves with individuals, U.S. business people, over long periods of time.
And that is something that former CIA Director John Brennan said in his testimony just this week. Can we get your opinion on something that's developing today? The United Kingdom very upset with what it sees as leaks from the U.S. Intelligence Committee. I believe we have sound from the British Prime Minister Theresa May from a short time ago where she says she's very concerned about this. Listen up.
Shortly, I will be travelling to the NATO summit, where I will be working with international colleagues on defeating terrorism. I will make clear to President Trump that intelligence that is shared between our law enforcement agencies must remain secure.
Do you share her concerns? I'm not talking about what President Trump may have said in the Oval Office in his meeting with Russians. That's a separate incident here. But the idea that maybe intelligence agencies in the United States are leaking information to the press about the Manchester investigation.
Well, Theresa May's indignation is well put, and we cannot have those kinds of leaks. They were in the middle of an active investigation. Once that name leaked out, there were many stones that probably could not be turned over because of it, or evidence that could have been somehow thrown away. I would say that we have a long-standing relationship with the UK that goes back, centuries now, and this has not been a problem for the most part in the past. This is kind of a new phenomenon, and it's something that we need to shut down wherever it is.
We have 30 seconds left. Your committee, Michael Flynn, former National Security Advisor, has refused to turn over documents to your committee and your Senate counterparts. Will you hold him? Do you think he should be held in contempt of Congress?
Well, he certainly will be subpoenaed, and we will make sure that in the subpoena that the Fifth Amendment cannot be exercised, particularly if you are going to subpoena documents from a business or organization. So we will move forward with our investigation. Michael Flynn needs to be held accountable just like any other American.
All right, so it sounds like TBD on that. Congresswoman